Hi guys, good Friday afternoon. I'm KHOU 11 digital anchor Brandi Smith, and I know folks out there are hungry for some good news. It has been a week of just really difficult headlines, but last night we had a story that really seemed to strike a nerve, and it was about a ranch manager who credits a 16-year-old ranch hand with saving his life. I'm going to show it to you in just a second. And actually, we're going to go through a number of stories about teens who are inspiring, who are leaving the world a better place. They're trying to make life better for the people around them. And so I want to hear your stories of kids, teens who give us hope for the next generation. And one of my favorite stories about my 15-year-old, when we went to New Orleans with my mother and my grandfather a couple years ago. He suffers from dementia, and we were taking a ghost tour, and he would just kind of wander off, and my youngest, Kai, would follow right along with him, turn him around. She just loved listening to his stories, and he could tell them several times, as he often does, and she just absorbed that, and it was a really sweet moment to see the man, her great-grandfather, the two of them bond. She calls him Great Scott, which I love. His name's Scott. Okay, so you share your stories. You can do it in the comments if you're watching here on Facebook. If you're watching somewhere else, you can text your stories. The number is 713-526-1111. I'll actually let you open up or grab a pen and paper, open up the notepad function on your phone, whatever works. 713-526-1111. Okay. Here is Zack's story about the Tomball ranch manager and ranch hand.
Sitting on some 60 acres in Tomball,
You see that calf along that fence?
ranch manager Bill Rowan-Fans has been baling hay or steering cattle
Run them in here and bring them through the chute
here at Cedarbrook Farms for nearly 40 years.
since about 84.
But just last weekend, he says he was performing minor surgery on a calf like he'd done numerous times,
And I've never had a problem before.
using a razor-sharp scalpel. Except this time,
And while I was working from the back here, the calf moved its leg and hit my arm, and my arm come over and slit right across here.
a gash.
About that long. Just like I was trying to cut my thumb off.
He thought some paper towels might help.
And I realized my towels were already soaked through, and as I went to get another set of towels, took my hand off, and then it sprayed like that.
But luckily for Bill, he had a hand, specifically his new ranch hand, high school junior Shane Stevens, who realized.
If you're squirting blood 6 inches, you have cut a major artery.
So Shane, who trains with special forces, grabbed a first aid kit from his truck and quickly applied a tourniquet.
Don't panic. Panic creates chaos.
After Shane drove him to a nearby Memorial Hermann satellite, Bill was transported by ambulance to the hospital's Woodlands location, where he says a hand surgeon stitched his artery back together.
Did it hurt?
Not at all.
But without Shane's quick thinking, Bill says it could have been a much different story.
You know, it only takes 3 to 5 minutes and you're bleeding out.
It was Shane's first time using the tourniquet.
Grip this, snug it up.
And for Bill, luckily, not his last steer.
I was a goner.
A heroic act, he says, that shows the future, too, is in good hands.
This kid here saved my life.
Zack Tawatari, KHOU 11 News.
So you got a taste of it there, that last little bit from Bill, but I was going back through and watching Zack's interview with Bill and Shane, and this is what jump-started our whole conversation right now.
You need to get this out. You need to tell people there's good kids, there's hope for our country right here in young people like this. You think you can handle that, Zack?
I think so.
Cool.
Shane.
Cool. I just love that so much. And we do these stories. I know you can't watch every story in every newscast, and so sometimes it seems like we don't ever do good stories, but I promise we do. They're out there. So I wanted to highlight a couple. I literally, there we go, searched teen good in our server, and these are some of the stories that came up. I don't know what's going on in the newsroom. Got real loud over there. This one's from last month. 2 teens from Montgomery became national champions in fishing. Yeah. Both are going to be seniors in the fall. Their parents are friends, and they've been a team for about 3 years now. Jason Bristol introduces us.
Take the lead. They got 12, 14-year champions!
Before we get to how they won, let's start with this.
No.
No, not at all.
Neither Fallon Klepper
Really, I thought we would be lucky to pull out a top 20 finish.
nor Wyatt Ford expected to win the high school fishing national championship with tens of thousands of dollars in prizes and scholarship offers.
It doesn't even feel real anymore.
Fishing in Florence, Alabama, in a boat captained by Fallon's dad, these two reeled in more bass by total weight than more than 200 other teams. Wyatt's massive 7-pound 8-ouncer on the final day, the largest of the tournament, the difference maker.
We got it to the boat and we netted it, and we were like, okay, we might be able to have a shot here.
And Fallon is the first female angler to ever win. It was emotional then,
That's all right. You got something to cry about.
and still is.
A little girl asked me to take a picture, and it was just the best feeling ever.
And what will these two champions do now to relax after winning this epic title?
We go fishing to relax most of the time.
Of course, more fishing.
I've seen a couple comments. Jennifer, amazing. Nicole says, love this. Virginia says, good. Delia says, I love this story, need more like it. Well, I've got more coming, but before we move on to the next one, I really want to encourage you guys to share your stories. Are there teens out there that you interacted with, things that your kids have done that just show, I don't know, kids these days can get a pretty bad rap. It's nice to see these stories. It's nice to hear these stories. It gives you hope, right? Okay, so next story, I don't know if there's a theme, but this is another Montgomery story. When you're 16, you probably had a summer job. Well, this kid is doing the hiring because he started up his own business in honor of his grandpa, and Janelle Bluda is sharing this story.
It's not his summer job
I am throwing these on the grill.
or just some extra cash.
Pretty colors on them.
For 16-year-old Jacob Irving, this gourmet hot dog truck
I have 2 rippers with mustard, onion, and cheese.
is now his bread and butter, his very own business.
I would like to say that I own and run it.
But Pop Pop's Dandy Dog is also a family legacy.
This is where it gets interesting.
Pop Pop is Jacob's grandfather.
He had a restaurant called Dandy Dog in 1985, and that was in Louisville, Texas.
This was his menu.
He has been an inspiration to me since I was little.
That inspiration led Jacob to today, a food truck in honor of Pop Pop.
Basically, I've kind of taken over the mantle as the dandiest dog in town.
It's been 2 years in the making. At just 14, Jacob drew up a business plan.
I was working multiple jobs at a time with school.
By 16, he saved up enough to open, and Dad made an investment.
So the deal was, I got him the trailer, and then he did everything else. So any of his other startup costs, anything else he needed, he had to come up with.
Jacob's menu includes a few of his grandpa's recipes and some of his own.
We do fries, funnel cakes, loaded fries.
Pop Pop even made it out to the big grand opening. Jacob knows he's proud.
And he said it was excellent. I think he feels honored.
And Dad
We're at one of the great memory makers right now, for sure.
is too.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
It's going to be neat to see, how this is going to go. So, and I'm excited. The future's very bright for him.
Jacob will be serving his hot dogs here in Montgomery every day except Sunday. Back to you.
We've got to go back up there and see how the business is doing, and 2, if he's been able to make those hires so he can get all set for the school year, which starts next month. Okay, one more story for you. No one has shared a story about a teen who's inspiring, so please, come on. The cliche goes, a picture's worth 1,000 words, unless you're Paul Guidry. The Katy man lost a big chunk of his throat to cancer, and now he has to use an electronic voice box if he wants to speak, but parts of it don't work very well. Melissa Correa talked to the high school senior who figured out a solution.
When acid reflux caused Paul Guidry to develop throat cancer in 2015, his only option to communicate became this electronic voice box.
This creates a tone, a noise. The tubes throws the noise to the back of my mouth, and that's how I'm able to talk.
Except the oral adapter, that part that holds the tube, cracks a lot.
And they last about 4 months at $30 each.
Paul's wife, a teacher at KDISD's Miller Career and Technology Center, knew a student could figure out a better way.
I want to be an engineer when I grow up. I just like making things.
Jurgis Mixenis just needed 3 weeks and a 3D printer.
We modified the design to add a barb top so we can slide the tube on it, touch it, come off.
And I added some things
like Paul's name.
The first one was too thin, he made it bigger. Then the tip broke off, so he made the tip stronger.
7 prototypes later.
And now he's able to print it for around $4.
The custom redesign of Paul's oral adapter is so good, Jurgis is headed to a statewide engineering competition. Paul's convinced the 18-year-old will win.
Absolutely.
Jurgis says he already did.
I've found my purpose, and I think my purpose is helping people.
A $4 fix to help a neighbor find his voice leaves one Katy teen speechless.
Seeing my project work, I don't know, I can't describe it.
Because sometimes actually stepping in to help says more
life is really simple
than words ever could. Melissa Correa, KHOU 11 News.
And there are so many untold stories like that out there. Again, I'll go back to what I said before. There is reason for hope in this next generation that's coming up. We're going to share the links for all of those stories in the comments if you want to watch them back. But I'll leave you with that. Have a great weekend, guys.